What's going on? What's going on? What's going on, everybody? Welcome to the Daily Show with DanRam. This is episode number 41, and this is, I can't believe I'm about to say it. The official ending of the Daily Show part of DanRam. DanRam's sticking around. As far as I know, I'm still around. But the daily part will be ending. We're going to end with a bang. You know, I've been talking about it for the last couple of days. We have got the amazing benefit concert for International Nurses Day happening tomorrow, and it really has picked up steam. It is amazing. Is that even a phrase, picking up steam? We're going to go with it. It is rapidly growing. The excitement is just overwhelming, to be honest. It's so cool to see messages from people I do not know from all far corners of the world going, "We love nurses, and thank you for doing something to help nurses out." And I was like, yes, we all got to do our part. And this is awesome that everyone can be a part of it. So I'm going to share this one more time with all of you. And I also want to let you know that wherever you're tuning from, you're so welcome, because I've got a killer awesome guest who's coming on right after I plug this concert. And I cannot wait to have her on the show, because it is like entertainment and education all at the same time. This is going to be epic. But I want to say that, and we're going to put this up all through the show, but on the bottom, you'll see there's a link here, givebutter.com/benefit concert. And essentially what happens when you go to that website is you are met with a beautiful poster that looks sort of like this. And there is only one day remaining because it happens tomorrow at this time. And you can see already we have all these people saying such beautiful things. So glad of your initiative to organize a live music event online amidst the pandemic situation. God bless. May God bless nurses and all fighting the pandemic. We've got, oh, look at this. Mainstage Incubators happy to support as an official partner. We got another official partner. This is so cool. Oh, that is so cute. So look at all of, oh, there's a parrot that's made its way. You know, this is amazing. I love it. And essentially what people are excited about is this, all right? So over here, you can see that we have artists from all over the world. In the last few days, I've been sharing some of their music. We got Danny Koo right in the top center from South Korea. On his right, we got Andrew Asko. Below that, we have Nona Madolo. We have artists from the US like Josh, Frank, and Dylan. We've got some violinists and cellists like Tammy, Sam, and Alex. We got a 40-member choir from India. We got the wonderful triple Grammy Award-winning Kevin Alushla, who's a cellist beatboxer. It's absolutely amazing, and so many more artists. So thank you, all of you who are coming. All you got to do is click this button, donate and tickets, and you can see the tickets are totally for free. Totally for free. Enjoy all these artists completely for free. And then we've got two more remaining spots. I was going to say spots and slots at the same time. Splot. I invented it. Trademark DanRam. We've got two remaining spots, all right, to sign up as an official partner with a $100 donation, or to come in and put a $50 donation. But you can donate during the concert as well. That is all I want to say for right now, because my guest is epic. And we got to bring her on. We are going to talk about stand up, stand out. Before I bring her on, I want to make sure you guys can all see and hear me. So I'm going to do a quick check, because StreamYard doesn't tell me who's watching on all the platforms. It tells me there's 7 people watching, and I'm sure that's only on one platform, because LinkedIn is usually on fire, and StreamYard does not really work with LinkedIn. Oh, we just suddenly popped up to 10 people and 11 people, possibly on the YouTube. Wherever you're tuning from, I want to say welcome. We've got a good show ahead, my last show. Let me know where you're tuned in from. Say hello, ask questions. But for now, I want to bring on RKA. It's Rachel K. Albers. What's going on?
What's going on? Man, I'm so excited to be with someone that we can kind of duel our energies, because we're both high energy people, and I'm enjoying this right now.
You've got so many colors on you. This is amazing. Colorful. But before you get too comfortable, I'm going to put you through the hot seat. Everyone does it. You okay with it? 60 seconds rapid fire round.
Gonna do it. Let's hear it. Let's go.
First up, fill in the blanks. Here we go. I'm happiest when
I'm with my daughter.
The last place I would ever want to get stranded is
Antarctica?
If I could, Antarctica. What do you have against Antarctica? Okay, sorry,
Well,
keep going.
it's the last place I'd like to be stranded.
My spirit animal is.
A parrot.
If I could travel anywhere in the world right now, where would it be?
Greece.
Ah, me too. Let's do word association. I'll say a word, and you say the word that comes to your mind right away. But this is a family show, so censor it a little bit. Okay, so here we go. Coffee.
Yes, please.
That's 2 words.
Please.
You can make up words too. Like I made splot. So
Yeah,
you can
splots, please. Let's do it.
please. Tea. Okay. Hair.
All of it.
Chicago.
I'm not even responding with words, Dan. I'm responding with like movements. That's how I'm interpreting this game.
I like it. Kind of like half charades, half, follow the instructions. That's cool. We just make our own rules.
Yes.
Chicago.
Bulls.
Music.
Iron and wine.
Sports.
No.
That's the only one that you actually got right. No, that's the word right there. How about 365?
Weddings.
What? You've been married 365 times?
Well, yeah, 365 weddings. Yeah. I got married 365 times. I had a wedding every single day for a year. So when you say 365, I think weddings, and I also think divorces, because that's how many we would have to have, my husband and I, if we ever wanted to get a divorce. We'd have to do it all year.
No, don't say that. So the strangest story that I heard this week was the name of Elon Musk's kid. But I think this trumps that. So hold on. Brett, before we get into this conversation with stand up, stand out, you can't just say you were married 365 times and then leave it. Tell us the story, please. What's going on there?
Well, my husband and I got married. We kind of had been talking about the traditional wedding, and just, you always hear these stories about how it goes so fast and people spend so much money on it and it's so stressful and then it's over. And we were kind of like, wanted to play with a different approach to getting married, because we believe that, love is a verb, love is a choice. It's an action. It's not like a hole you fall into, like, oh, I fell in love, and then you dig your way out, maybe. I don't know. It's an intentional choice that you make. So we decided, what better way to kind of enter into that in a marriage than we're going to make this choice intentionally every single day for a year, treating our wedding as like a process and something to kind of set us up on solid ground. That was the thought at the beginning. I don't know if we would have told you that at the end. Like when we got to 365, we're like, okay, this has been nice, but let's actually move forward now.
What about honeymoons? Do you do 365 honeymoons?
I mean, every day is a honeymoon now, right? Because we also say every day is our anniversary.
That's true.
Which is great for my husband. He can never forget it. It's like it's tomorrow, it's yesterday, it's today. It's all around us.
This is amazing. I can see now why people say it's SNL and business all at the same time with you, because it's like part comedy, part like there's actually wisdom there, and part what am I watching and hearing?
What's happening right now?
Exactly. So
that's about right.
You came recommended from another guest that we had, and over the last few weeks we have had maybe about 50 guests come in and talk on a lot of topics that were very pertinent during COVID-19. And one of the themes that really stood out was now's not a time to roll over and die. Now's not a time to disappear. Now's the time to stand up, stand out. And so I thought, as a culminating theme, if you could help us, even though you weren't in all 41 shows, put this together, package it neatly. And if there were 2 final messages from the show, yeah, exactly. I love the charades continues here. Then how can people practically move with this? So let's start with the term stand up. What does that mean to you, Rachel, to stand up, and stand up for what and how?
Well, if you're going to apply this specifically to business, I am always teaching my students and telling my own clients and helping my own clients, to see that the most powerful brands are the ones that have a point of view, are the ones that take a stand, that have a distinct, defined perspective on the world, on their place in it, on their customers, their audience's place in it. Those are the most powerful brands, the ones that have a perspective, right? The ones that are standing up for something. And that's so easy for us to acknowledge, like, yeah, that's totally true. But in practice, it's very difficult because businesses want as much money as they can get, right? Theoretically, at least. Theoretically, not every business operates with that mindset. But at the end of the day, we're all trying to generate revenue. And so there's this fear that if you take a stand, if you have a perspective on something, if you stand for something, you are going to push people away and therefore push money away and jeopardize your profitability, right? So this is the dance, and this is what I help people with, is that whole idea of taking a stand and actually living into that, because it's easy to say on paper, but then when it actually comes to it, it's challenging, right?
Absolutely. So let me put a twist on that. Essentially what you're saying is everyone needs to have their DDP, right? Their distinct, defined perspective if you're a business, and a distinct, defined purpose if you're a human, because not everyone who's watching the show is business oriented. That's totally fine. Yeah. Now's a good time to figure out what is your purpose, and the more distinct and defined. So distinct as in like set apart, don't just follow the herd, but the defined part is articulated, like get really specific with it. It can't just be like to help people. How? Doing what? Starting where? For how do we measure that? And so I love that DDP, man. We're just creating all kinds of terms.
TM. So call your. I hope that your intellectual property attorney is watching this. They can be on it right away. By the time you get out of the show, you'll have that trademark.
David, are you watching? And comments if you can trademark these comments for us over here, these terms. By the way, on LinkedIn, I can see you over here. So I will be taking some questions from you as well. So keep punching questions. I'm not going to ignore you. You are part of our conversation here as well. It's not just the two of us talking to each other. So do connect on LinkedIn and get the comments rolling. So you ended off by saying figuring out how to do that can be challenging. So do you have any tips on how to get that DDP? Where do you start?
I actually have a process that I take people through. It's called reverse niching. And this can be applied whether you're, at a human level and a business level. But it comes down, like when you ask somebody in a conversation in just like if you're at a party and you meet somebody or you're talking to a client and you ask them, who do you serve and what do you stand for? You're going to get a long, winding answer that probably isn't defined, right? It's hard for people to answer those questions, especially the who do you serve one. And even like, what are you about though? People will be like, I don't know, like love, being nice to people. I mean, that's generally my value in life, right? And so it's not defined. It's not distinct. Yeah. It is just, so I like to actually back into both of those things, back into brand values, back into brand audience by asking them the opposite question, which is, who will you absolutely positively never work with? And I'll get an answer like that. And typically it is pretty distinct and defined when I ask that question. And I'll also ask, like, what irks you more than anything else about what people are doing in your industry? Or what would you never get caught dead doing, right? Like, what would you never do to another human being? Whatever. When I ask these questions, you get people riffing like this. One of the reasons is because we're humans and humans do enjoy complaining. There's a catharsis that comes when we whine, when we complain. But I like to take that complaint and actually turn it into something actionable by saying, okay, if you just answer this question saying, I'll never, ever work with people like this, what does that mean then? Let's reverse engineer this now about who your ideal client is. What does this mean about your brand values? Like, and if I get somebody riffing about something that they hate that they see in the industry or they see their neighbor doing, and they're like, oh, my neighbor's always doing this and it just ticks me off. Well, then I use that as a signal, like a little bell going off like, hey, here's where your values lie. Because you take that thing that irks you and you reverse engineer it, it's going to shine a light on your values, whether it's brand values as a business or it's just your values about as a human being, telling you, how do I want to show up in the world? What does this mean about what the world needs from me then? And then you take what starts as a complaint, which I think that complaining is boring. I like to say complaining is boring. What are you going to do about it? And then it turns it into a clear vision of how you need to show up in the world, because this thing is just showing you that it's lacking. Does that make sense, Dan? Does that make sense?
That does make sense. I like this term reverse niching. And and for sure there are questions that are very difficult to answer, and then there's ways to reverse engineer those questions to get the answers that we really should be having to certain questions. I want to give quick shout outs here. Rom25C says greetings from India. We've got my attorney, trademark attorney, saying hashtag taking notes. Here on LinkedIn, we got a few comments. Andy says, love the concept DDP. Thanks for making the show. I'm excited for the benefit concert tomorrow. So awesome to get your comments coming in, guys. So this time right now, for many people, has involved a pivot, it's involved a shift, it's involved change. A lot of them are trying to figure out who they are, but the problem is we don't know what world we're inheriting after this. So on the kind of like a last question regarding the standing up, what questions does one ask themselves if they don't have the benefit of working with you one-on-one? Like, what are 3 questions that everyone should be asking right now to figure out their DDP, to reverse niche at this moment?
I would say I'm going to start with the questions that I kind of threw at you before. What do you hate that other people are doing in your industry, right?
Okay.
What would you never get caught dead doing?
Okay.
And then just simply the question, get caught dead. Actually, that phrasing I don't like these days. Actually, all of these words that we use in our standard vernacular that like talk about death, I'm like, let's rewrite that actually. So I'm just in the middle of rewriting myself as we go. And then just really basically, I don't believe it. Because when you ask somebody that, it's so much easier to answer I don't believe in than I do believe it. Because with I do believe in, you're just broad. I do believe in peace for one and all. Okay, cool. But what does that mean though? Starting with the I don't believe in helps you get your way over to the I do believe in, because typically people they have a specific examples over here. They're really defined about the things that make them mad. And I always say my best content and the stuff that really touches my audience comes from the stuff that makes me mad, because it's agitating something that's really important to me. But that doesn't mean I'm showing up with anger to my audience then. It's just I'm tuning into the anger. I'm paying attention to the anger. What is this telling me about what matters to me most? Like even just tuning into, like making a list of the stuff that's ticking you off, even right now, making a list of the stuff that's ticking off your audience. And then, as I said, you look at the anger that people are feeling. It's an alarm bell giving us a like big giant neon arrow into the hearts of our audience and our clients, because the anger is how we express much deeper, more like it's a consequence, it's a symptom of hurt, and it's a symptom of then values and expectations, because the anger comes from hurt, which is our values and expectations not being met, and then the hurt turns into anger, right? So this is the way in to the heart of, and you talk about we don't know what the world we're inheriting. I totally agree with you, but we can see people's anger bubbling up, which is then they're showing us what their values are and where they're disappointed and where they're lacking and where they need support and what dreams they have that they need help meeting. Do you know what I'm saying?
100%. I do know what you're saying, because when I coach startups, I always say start with the pain point, start with the problem, not the solution. And it's kind of like what you're saying about don't start with what you love and what you stand for, because that kind of is like this big ambiguous everything. You're saying what do you not stand for? What do you hate? What frustrates you? What upsets you? And either you decide to minimize and run away from that in your life, or you decide to be the solution to it. One of the two, but they both are a better option than just being ambiguous. So I love that. And assuming that people will spend that time or have spent that time figuring that out for themselves, what then do you do with that to stand out? How can this be a time to work on some foundations and fundamentals now that we're out of the rat race, now that we have the time that we have been asking for? What are some things that people can do practically right now to carve that niche, to dominate that space, to create a body of work around it? I don't know. So what can people do?
Body of work, baby. That's what it's all about. So, when you start with anger and that helps you get clear, that takes you on a journey over to your values. then you can pretty clearly see the holes, what's missing in the conversation, right? And I think that especially when we're talking about business and branding,
Right.
you know, people are so obsessed with standing out, and yet they're still continuing to just repeat the same, like to mimic and parrot the conversation that's already happening. And I feel like when you isolate what people are frustrated about, it's often places where there's holes. There's things that are not being said. That's one of the questions I have people ask them. What are other people in your industry not saying right now?
Right.
What aren't they addressing? What aren't they talking about? That's, I think, the first place to start. I do always tell people, like, instead of trying to start a brand new conversation, go to where the conversation is happening. But like, you want to kind of pay attention to what people are discussing in the world, if they're your ideal client or just your friends, your neighbors, your family. But then you need to look for the holes, for the things that are not being said. Oftentimes, it's not because somebody hasn't thought them. It's because somebody hasn't been brave enough to say them or explore them in whatever way, right?
Yeah.
So
I was going to ask, like, maybe there's a chance a conversation is not happening because there isn't an audience for it. But this is not what you're referring to. You're not talking about like so niche or so exclusive or so minor that people don't care. You're actually saying the bravery that it takes to stand out, to be willing to talk about stuff that people are thinking, feeling, considering, but they're not willing to discuss. So, okay, that's good. That's got me thinking as well. Because I do think there's also like an exhaustion point that comes in when everybody's talking the same thing and you're trying to stand out in a very crowded space. And so if you can find those tangential conversations that need to happen, that is really good. That's got me thinking in my own industry, how I can do that And
the other side of it is, it's not always about saying something different. It's about how you're saying it, right? It doesn't need, because there's nothing new under the sun. Everything's been discussed. Everything's been said. We live in the world of 4 million plus blog posts going out every single day. People are saying stuff. So, but I think that the thing is, there's another way of looking at it is what are the ways that this can be said that haven't been explored yet. And let me give you an example of that. Like, if you look at my show, Awkward Marketing, I do a marketing sketch comedy and business show. So I'm using sketch comedy to talk about business and teach about marketing and building your brand online and all that good stuff. The things I talk about on this show are not novel. They have not been unexplored by other people. I am not inventing marketing right now, right? This wisdom is out there, but the thing that makes my approach different and the thing that makes people listen to me, even though I'm not saying anything any different than what every other marketing expert is saying, is that instead of talking about it, I decided I want to bring it to life. Instead of like describing what I see in the marketing world, I turn it into a sketch. I become multiple characters that are talking to each other. I literally bring that to life in this different way. I explore it using comedy and characters. Instead of saying, it's kind of like this, I just show you what that, I show you that like interesting universe in my own brain. I show you what I'm thinking in my brain by becoming that idea. So what's new about this isn't that I'm saying anything different about marketing. It's that I'm saying it in a different way. Because the marketing landscape, as I saw it, what was missing from the conversation? More fun, less taking ourselves so seriously. Like, marketers like to pretend like we're like brain surgeons doing the world's greatest, gift to humanity. Come on, people, we're selling stuff. Let's have some fun with it and stop taking ourselves so seriously. So that's the other thing about standing up, is it's not about saying something different all the time. It's about how are you introducing these concepts? What ways have not been explored by other people who come before you, who've established these ideas, right? You're going to do it in your new and in your novel way.
Absolutely. So for those of you who are curious about what Rachel was talking about, right down here, awkwardmarketing.com is where you can go. What can people find there? What kind of resources do you usually share? So for those who are watching and going like, yeah, I like Rachel. I don't know if it's relevant to my space. Like, what are some of the topics, themes, resources you've got on that site?
Awkward Marketing is all about teaching people how to build epic, unforgettable brands online. So we talk about all different types of online marketing. Like, we talk about email marketing, social media, ads, content marketing, web design, brand design. So all of those things. And, it's snackable content. Most of the episodes are between 3 to 7 minutes long. It's fun. You come in, you have a good time. You know, and I think, you know, any marketer can benefit from this show because it's quick, it's easy to consume, and it's so much fun. It doesn't feel like you're learning something. It's a wild ride. So that's what you can find over there on Awkward. Go and binge it. Very binge-worthy experience down here.
I did a couple clicks myself. I got to admit, I was like, all right, I'll just watch one quick video because today's been an insane day. And I was like, I watched a couple of them. And you are hilarious. I love all the characters that you assume. I love, like you say, you personify what other people talk about theoretically. And that is awesome to see. I guess as a final question here, and you really have the final word on the Daily Show with DanRam. As far as this whole COVID-19 pandemic, I know that some people started this whole season and also in the middle, and who knows when the end is, but there's been real dips. There's been real hurt. There's been real pain. There's been real job loss. For some people, there's been real health issues as well. This topic of stand up, stand out, what can people do tangibly, practically? What are baby steps? As I always say, start now, start simple. How do they take a hold of this to either accelerate if they're already in that way of thinking, or to break that negative downward thinking and go, this could be my story too. You know, like, let's go. Any final thoughts on this topic?
Well, I think I'm just going to be piggybacking on your central message here, which is I'm all about starting dirty, starting messy. I think for those people who are experiencing all different types of losses, whether it's, you know, their businesses are struggling or they're struggling at home. I probably can speak a little bit more to the business side of things and just say that the businesses that are making their way and surviving through this are the ones that are willing to start messy and get dirty. And when I say that, I just mean, like you say, like, start simple and just get started, right?
Yeah.
The ones that are willing to pivot, the ones that are willing to get out of their own way with their own perfectionism, the ones who are willing to take risks. And I think right now people are we're being forced to be scrappy as a society. You can't spend the next year engineering a solution for what's happening right now. You got to either be on it now or you're getting, and you know, like you said before, there's so much that people are more susceptible than ever to depression and anxiety and all of these things. And for me, you know, as somebody who also struggles with those things myself, the only way through is through action.
Yes.
And so that's my whole thing, is just get in there and you have the wonderful gift of not being able to overthink it, because time is of the essence right now. People being able to pivot and try things quickly without spending too much time over investing in some massively engineered, complicated thing. It's just like show up and pivot and try it, even in its like messy version 1 mode, because the world needs version 1 right now. The world needs everyone to be thinking differently and doing it quickly on their feet. So that's my thing.
Dang, that was so good. And for me, it was so affirming. I was just listening to you, and it's almost like you had coached me in this journey as well. Because some of this stuff happens, I realize for some people it's just innate. Like, because the way I grew up as a son of a diplomat, like I had to keep adapting and evolving. And so whenever something is new, you just learn to work with it. And I remember when this COVID-19 started off, I wrote to about 300 LinkedIn contacts who are all speakers, essentially a sort of like a support message, you know, like, hey, I know times are tough. We're not going to be doing events anymore. We're not going to be in front of audiences. So if I can help anyway, like reach out. And there was like tons of sympathy back when, like, yeah, times are tough. And then one of my guys on the team, he's like, Dan, why'd you start a live stream? I've never done a live stream. I don't have a studio. It's probably very obvious. I'm not even wearing makeup right now. You know, like I don't have any of the stuff that I normally do. And so, and I don't have all of my clothes. Like usually I wear like really, I would say almost flamboyant outfits on stage, you know, and I don't have any of that. I'm literally just in my home with a salt lamp in the back. And for those of you who've been watching the show, you've also seen the evolution. I started off with the blank wall that is behind me. And I was like, oh, that's really boring. So then we started building stuff out behind us in the frame. So you are so right. Like, it's all about action. The way to break stuff is action. Starting messy, starting dirty, starting now, starting simple. So thank you for spitting that fire and for hopefully kicking people up and be like, come on, now's the moment. And you said version 1. You don't have to be in 6th gear. You just got to start in 1st gear. You don't have to be flying 120 miles an hour. Just start at 10. You know, like pretend you're back to that kid that really wants to learn how to ride a bike, and you need the tricycle and the support wheels, and like that's okay. It's okay to fail. It's okay to fall, but you're moving. The key is to move.
I would even say, I'd add on to, it's not just okay to fail. The most successful people are hungry for failure. They're seeking it out because the failure is what gets us closer to the success, right? Like, and the information that we get from each failure and what it tells us about what doesn't work gets us to the next version so much faster. The faster we can fail, the faster we can then level up. You know what I'm saying? So I think the most successful people in general are the ones that are hungry to fail, and of course to acknowledge it and to learn from it, not just to fail doing the same thing over and over again, right? But to fail as often and as early as possible, because that's going to be what helps them click in faster to that next level, you know?
100%. Thank you so much. Rachel, you've been a delight. I'm so glad that I got to start this live stream because it meant I could meet people like you as well. And can you hang out backstage for a bit? Let me just say goodbye to these lovely folk online, and then I'll meet you backstage. All right. Well, that was the wonderful Rachel K. Albers. As we said, awkwardmarketing.com is where you can find out more about her and connect with her. We'll be repurposing all this content. So for those of you who are watching right now, don't worry. You can rewind and watch the whole show about the theme of stand out and stand out. But also, do know that we're repurposing the content. As far as the daily show with DanRam, this is the last episode. But tomorrow, we've got one final major hurrah. We're going to do a benefit concert for International Nurses Day, May the 12th, which is tomorrow. It's International Nurses Day. It's going to be epic. We've got 15 artists from 5 continents. I really want you to get a ticket because it's the only way you will see the concert. It's not going to show up here. It's going to show up on that site, which you see at the very bottom. So if you look at the very bottom, you will see givebutter.com/benefit concert. So please go get a ticket because that will give you the link to where the concert is. You can't go to givebutter.com/benefit concert tomorrow to watch the video. You have to get a ticket, and the ticket will give you a link. It's complicated. It's virtual. You know, it's this online world. So please go get it. The tickets are $0. Zero. So you have no excuses. And it's going to be great. Even if you're working, just have it on a second screen, put some Bluetooth speakers in because we've got these sensational artists that are going to be on the show. It's going to be epic. So thank you so much for being a part of this. Thank you for being a part of this journey. And I cannot wait to see you tomorrow. It's the benefit concert. And then what happens after, we don't know. Maybe become the weekly show with DanRam. Maybe I'll become like John Oliver. Just like whenever I feel like it, I'll put something out on YouTube. Who knows? I certainly cannot do Jimmy Fallon anymore. We cannot be daily. But I've certainly got a whole lot of exciting ways to interact with y'all. Thank you. And we'll see you tomorrow at the concert. I'm going to say what I always say. Today is a gift. Start now. Start simple. Goodbye.